If you've been paying attention, you've heard the buzzword grass-fed beef, and you may be wondering what it is. Is it healthy? Is this another gimmick? So I want to explain to you why it could be a healthy option. So first of all, the fat content in beef is made up of 40% mono and poly unsaturated fat. The other 60% is saturated fat. But 1/3 of that is in the form of stearin, which is a neutral fat that does not raise cholesterol. But there's more to the story about grass-fed beef. So in America, decades ago, we began industrializing our agriculture in order to get greater outputs at less cost and in more time. The process became for farmers to grow cattle on their own farm until about 6 months of age. And there they would eat a particular grass that grew really quickly and really fast, but it caused gut bloat. And so the farmers in turn would give them antibiotics and hormones to treat that problem as well as helping them to grow fast. And then they load them onto trucks. They take them across the country where the cattle lives out the rest of their days eating grain, usually made up of corn, and becoming obese. The fat in their body begins to change, and it increases the amount of saturated fat they have before they are slaughtered, before they're packaged and sent out into the grocery store. And this is why when you have your meat today, you like the really juicy, tender cuts, but those are higher in saturated fat. So that doesn't even account for the amount of foreign meat that is brought into the market that you may be buying and not even realizing it. And it might say grass-fed, but our government really has no oversight into that process to ensure that it's really grass-fed. So farmers today have begun to see the benefit of regenerative farming and returning to the less industrialized way of agriculture or animal husbandry that's more traditional, where they let the cattle graze out for their whole life on natural grass, grains, and seeds that grow in their pasture. They're also not raised in a monoculture of just cattle. Other animals are included, which give a lot more benefit to the land. And industrialized agriculture is depleting the land, where regenerative farming is returning the soil back to a very fertile soil where it can even hold a lot more water than some of these other farms. So this in turn produces meat that has much less saturated fat, and it's also much more nutritious. And I want to highlight, if you're interested and you want to know more information, I want to just tell you, Will Harris of White Oak Pastures is the guy to follow and to read. If you don't read, you can find podcasts about him as well. But he really goes into how he took his family farm that had been in his family for generations from industrialized back to traditional animal husbandry, where he's regenerated their land. And it's really fascinating and very interesting if you're into that. So don't be afraid of eating beef anymore. Look for a local farmer who's raising grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or look in your grocery store, but try to make sure you're not buying imported meat either. So grass-fed beef can be a very nutritious part of a balanced diet. It gives you a complete source of protein that our bodies need, as well as high-quality fat.